What is up, guys? PokeBrick Show here for another Pokemon video. And today, in case you couldn't tell by the title, which was pretty right, I'm going to be making a video on how to make an effective Pokemon deck, either if it's fighting with your friends or battling at a tournament. This will help you to build a very effective deck. Now, this is one of the decks that I have been using for a while now, and I've split it up into the main parts in which you use for a deck. To start it off, you're going to need a card that you base your deck around. For this deck, I base it around Venusaur EX, and you want at least 2 of those cards in your deck. Have full art and a not full art version. And you might also want, if you can, a Mega of that version. Although Megas end your turn, it's a great way to wreck your opponent, considering they usually have over 200 health and a lot of OP. Even though they only have 1 attack, it's very broken. Broken means it's very good. So, after you have the card you want to base your deck around, you're going to need 2, maybe 3 if you want to, types that you base your deck around. Again, this one is going to be grass and fairy type, this deck that I have. Doesn't mean you can only have grass and fairy type Pokemon. You can have colorless Pokemon because they use that little star symbol, and that means it can be any kind of energy that you wish it to be. So, one thing that's good to have in your decks, and as of the recording of this video, is EXs. But also, just like older versions, if you're building a deck from a specific set, you can use level X's, primes, legends, whatever is relevant. But for now, these are the 2nd generation of EXs. So you also want doubles of some EXs. I have 2 Keldeo EXs and a Xerneas EX on top of my 2 Venusaurs and Mega Venusaur. These are an easy and simple way to deal damage and to last your battle out longer, considering EXs have more health than normal. You also are going to want some energy cards. Energy cards are the cards that help you do attack. So, as I'm going to show you right now, let me just get this set up. So let's just take a look at this Mega Venusaur. Alright? Where it says Crisis Vine, you see 3 grass symbols and a star symbol. What those mean is that I'm going to need 3 grass energy cards out of however many you have in your deck, and 1 random card, because as long as it's an energy card, because the star means any, really. A good thing to have in your deck are these double colorless energy, so that if you get a Pokemon, like, let's say, this Mega Venusaur, or just regular Venusaur, either of them, where it says Poison Powder, you see a grass and 2 stars. You can easily just attach a grass energy and that double colorless energy, and your attack will already be charged up by 2 cards. So those are a great addition to have into your deck if you have a lot of Pokemon like that. Your Pokemon deck cannot exceed 60 cards, and it cannot be less than 60 cards. So you have to have it at exactly 60 cards. You need to have it counted out. If I were to count my cards, I would have 60. I've made this deck a long time ago, but that's like the only thing. One thing that if you're fighting in tournaments or something, I'll get to tournaments in a second, but you're going to want these. These are sleeves. You can see my camera in the reflection, whatever. Sleeves are basically a protector for your cards, and make them like easier to move and stuff. You can just take the card out like that. But sleeves are a good idea if you're going to tournaments, because then the judges won't have to check your cards, because sometimes people will like put a little mark or something on the back of their card so that they know, oh yes, I'm gonna get my Mega Venusaur because you put a mark on the back. You can do that with sleeves, but it'd be more noticeable. Plus, you can't really damage your cards while it's in here, so you can't tell that much. So it's a good idea to have sleeves. And a deck box. Mine is Neon Cat. This is when Neon Cat was still relevant. But yeah. Deck box is a good idea to have so you can hold your cards and don't get loosed. Or, if you don't want to spend some money on a deck box, you can always just buy an elastic band from the dollar store. Next is supporters. Supporters are cards that are people, but the thing is that you can only use one of them per turn. Most supporters are meant to help you and disadvantage your opponent. So let me just show you some of the basics. These are the ones that I have in my deck. These are some good ones to use. So Bianca is a good one, which is if you have a small hand, like you have one card left or something, you can play this and draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So if you have 1 card left, that's draw 5 cards. But the thing is with supporters, you're only allowed to play 1 supporter card during your turn. Another good one is Lysandra. Switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. This is basically the same as the catcher. This was a card that was a while ago. But the catcher now, they've revamped it so that you have to flip a coin to see if, you can do it. But this one just automatically says, but again, only play 1 per turn. So I have 2 Lysandras. Pokemon Center Lady is a great card to have if your Pokemon are really bad at taking damage, which is heal 60 damage from one of your Pokemon and remove all special conditions. A special condition is like if it's asleep, poisoned, paralyzed, any of that. Good to stock up on them. I've got 3. Sharon is a really good card, actually. Is draw 3 cards. So you don't have to draw until you have 3 cards or whatever. You just automatically draw 3 cards from your deck into your hand. Shauna is good if you're running low on deck, and let's say you have 20 cards in your hand because you just keep collecting them, like with this deck I do. So you place down a Shauna, and you shuffle your whole hand back into your deck, and let's say you only have 1 card left in your deck. Now you have 21, and then you shuffle it all together, and then you draw 5 out. And that's good if you're running low on deck. Good to have a couple of those. So those are just some supporters. There's other ones that you can get that help you. Usually you'll know if it's a supporter card because it'll be orange on the bottom and it'll say supporter, but also because it'll represent a person. Another good thing to have is stadiums. Basically what a stadium is you place it down on the ground and you don't discard it or anything. You can only discard a stadium card if you or an opponent play another stadium card, then the one that's already there gets discarded. It's good to have a couple of these. One of them I have is Revamped City Gem, which is put 2 more damage counters on poisoned Pokemon. So usually it's 1 damage counter, which would be 10 damage, but this is 2 more, so it'd be 30. And this is basically just for a special card. I have it in my deck that I'll be showing later. Next is Fairy Garden, which is each Pokemon that has any fairy energy attached to it, both yours and opponents, has no retreat cost, which is good because mine is a half fairy deck. Dang it. I drop cards everywhere. Alright, another thing that's good to have of trainer cards are items. These you can play as many as you want during your turn, as long as it's before you attack, because attacking ends your turn. And this says, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep, too. This is Hypnotoxic Laser. Really good card if you're, losing out kind of, or if you have a Pokemon that overpowers your Pokemon, you play this card down, they get poisoned. You play Burbank City Gym, they get 30 damage in between turns instead, and yeah, it's a really good card. Floatstone I usually use this because of my EXs and Megas, like his retreat cost is 4, and so is the regular EXs. And if they don't have Fairy Energy attached, or I don't have Fairy Garden in play, you just slap one of these babies on him. Sometimes 2 cards can be attached to a Pokemon, so I would attach this to him, and it wouldn't be discarded unless your opponent your opponent plays a card that says like discard all tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon, like this one, the Startling Megaphone. Discard all Pokemon tool cards attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon. This is really good against decks with Silver Bangles, which is like do 30 extra damage. All you gotta do is place this down and it goes away. Another Hypnotoxic, Heavy Ball. I use this card because of the Mega Venusaur and the regular Venusaur. Search your deck for a Pokemon with a retreat cost of 3 or more. 4. Reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So basically, you get to take this card. This is kind of the same thing, except if you want to read that, it's basically discard 2 cards, but you can choose any Pokemon you want. This is good if you're looking for a specific Pokemon to find, or if you just have extra cards that you don't need. You can just discard them. Another Floatstone, another Ultra Ball. In a deck, you can only have up to 4 of the same card, so yeah. Which basically means, like, I can't have 5 hypnotopic lasers, which I would like to have, but I'm only allowed to have 4 maximum, so I have 4 in this deck. Energy Retrieval, I have a couple of these because, as you can see, my trainer cards take up most of my deck. I think it's a good strategy to have some of your cards. I think it's really good to go 30-30-30 or 20-20-20, but sometimes if you just need that like extra strategy, you can put extra trainers, extra energies, I don't recommend extra Pokemon. So this one is just put 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Evosoda is just used for my Venusaur. If I have one of my Venusaurs out, play Evosoda down. Which basically is, if you haven't been reading it, you get to search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon. So if I have Venusaur EX down, I can search for Mega Venusaur. But the thing is that this counts as evolving your Pokemon, which means when you evolve to a Mega, it ends your turn automatically. So make sure you play down all your trainers and everything before that. Another Ultra Ball, Hypnotropic, Startling Megaphone, Heavy Ball. Oops, that's supposed to be in the stadiums. Heavy Ball, Hypnotoxic. Yeah, and I think that's gone through all my trainers. Last but not least, what is good to have in your deck are Pokemon themselves. At the start of a battle, after you decide who's going first with the flip of a coin, what you do is after you place down your prize cards, you draw 7 cards. And you're going to want at least 20 Pokemon, maybe a little less, maybe at least 10 Pokemon if you like. Although I recommend more because if you only have like that many, there's a chance that at the beginning of the game when you draw 7 cards, you won't get a basic Pokemon. If you don't get a basic Pokemon, then what you have to do is you have to shuffle your hand into your deck. Your opponent gets to draw an extra card. And then you have to redraw and keep redrawing until you get a basic Pokemon. Basic Pokemon is a Pokemon that doesn't have an evolution. So if I only draw an Aromatiz, I can't play it because it has to evolve off of a Spritzee. So yeah. Also, it's very good to get Pokemon with abilities. Abilities come into play whether or not it's in, as long as it's at least on your bench or as your front up Pokemon attacking, this ability like takes into play. So it's good to have abilities. Carbink I added mainly because of his Crystal Barrier, which is good for him to kind of be a a protector, kind of. By that I mean, like, he will, if, like, all my Pokemon are taking a beating, I throw him in there, and there's a chance that I get an extra turn. Flip a coin. If heads, no damage is done. I don't really use these basic Pokemon that much. I do use them, but not a lot, because I have so many EXs that I pull them a lot. He's basically in here. Leaf Wallop is basically overpowered. Every turn, as long as he's in play, every next turn, his attack does 40 more damage. So, first time you attack, 40. Next time, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, if he can live that long. Genesect is good for this attack. Because I have the double colorless energies, I can just place both of them on him, use his blaster, or if I want, I can charge it all up with grass, and then it'll do extra 20 more damage for each grass energy. If all of those were grass energy, that'd be 20 times, or 2 times 40, which would be 2 times 40, 80, 80 plus 50, so that'd equal up to 120 damage. Another Virizion, and Xerneas, which is just here, because why not? So basically, guys, that is how, oh, and then there's this guy. That is how, those are my tips on how to make an effective Pokemon deck, if you like. Also, one other thing I was going to say, get to tournaments. There will be a list on the screen right here on this half of Pokemon sets that are legal to play. And by legal, it means that if you are playing in a tournament, you can't really play older cards in your decks because they're old or something. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but like every time there's a new set, they take away the last one, so it's like keeps going. So I don't exactly know, but as of this uploading, the list that is right here that is still up on the screen will be the list that that is legal as of the time of this recording. Or if you do what I do and just battle with your friends, as long as it's okay with your friend, you can have illegal cards. Like this deck has like level X's in it, which would not be legal in a tournament. So, or if you go to tournaments like that are just organized by store owners and they say, you know what, illegal cards are okay, like ones that I go to sometimes, then you know what, knock yourself out. But if you're planning on going to a tournament where things are legal, the list is on the screen. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. I'm excited to be back for this channel because I really like doing Pokemon and Lego videos. So the next video will be Lego videos. I'll try and do like every other one. So anyways, guys, I'll see you later.